Hey everybody, welcome back to Lettermen Row. This is Rapid Reactions brought to you by Byers Auto, and I am Austin Ward. That is Jeremy Birmingham and Spencer Holbrook. And after about a week or 4 days since a formal contract might have been offered or was offered to Al Washington to go become the defensive coordinator at Tennessee, he has confirmed his intentions to stay with the Buckeyes. Multiple sources had talked to us at Lettermen Row about this possibility as it emerged throughout the week, even though there was a huge amount of money on the table. Believed the largest offer he got was $1.5 million for 3 years to go down to Tennessee. That will not be the price of his next contract with the Buckeyes. It will be even considerably less than that. But there is a raise. He's expected to become the run game coordinator, and he chose competing for championships, staying in his hometown, continuing to work with Ryan Day, developing alongside Kerry Combs, rather than casting his own lot at this point in the SEC. Pretty big deal for the Buckeyes, bro.
Yeah, it goes to show that there's a major difference between a great opportunity and the right opportunity. And Al Washington is going to be a defensive coordinator in the next couple of years, maybe 2 years from now, maybe 3 years from now. But to go to Tennessee right now, a program that's going to be, stricken with violations and probation, it's just not the right place to make that sort of step out. And again, as Austin, as you and I talked about on Wednesday night, it's like sometimes you don't need to hurry along what's coming. That opportunity is going to be there. Maybe he's not ready for that sort of coordinator spot yet, and understands the value of being in a program like Ohio State to continue getting that culture and learning and from guys like Paul Rhodes and Kerry Combs and Al Washington and Matt Barnes, and he'll get another shot. It's obviously big news for Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, you're at Ohio State. To suggest that this would have decimated the program to lose Al Washington would not be fair or accurate. As we say, every time there's an opening, you can get the longest list of candidates in the country at Ohio State right now willing to have taken that spot. And I think that had to be part of the conversation here for Al Washington. It's got a pretty good thing. You have to decide what you want. If Ohio State wasn't happy with Al Washington, they wouldn't have gone to the table with more money, a new title. They wanted to keep him in the program, but that doesn't mean if he had left that they would have felt like the walls were crumbling. But this worked out for everybody, and it was a hard decision when you're talking about that amount of money for Al Washington. I think that, from my experience and conversations with him, he was flattered by that interest, which has come up in the last couple cycles, and appreciative of it. And he didn't want this to feel like Tennessee did something wrong, or that he didn't think that he could win there, or that Josh Heupel wasn't someone who could be a good boss. But this other situation with Ryan Day is pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think just have to look at what these coaches are able to do under Ryan Day. We talk about being in the building with him and the culture there, and being able to leave at 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights, even during the season, and family time, and everything that they give to this program, and everything the program gives them back as a coaching staff. And then also the opportunity to win championships, which, just put it bluntly, that's not at Tennessee right now. The opportunity to win a championship and to be a part of a championship coaching staff just isn't there at the moment. And I think that all of those things, with the family connection that Al Washington has to Columbus, I think that might have been too much. And I think that's completely fair. And like you said, it's not a knock on Tennessee. It's not he was obviously flattered by the offer. He took some time to consider it, but with all these factors, it just seemed like coming back to Columbus was the right thing at the right time.
I feel like this last week, since all this really started, and Austin, you and I got wind of this last Thursday, so it's been a week, that he was their target. It seems like almost on, and I feel bad saying it because we work in the media, and I understand that we have an obligation to report things and try to get stories out there that are happening around the team we cover. But this is someone's very private decision that they have to make. That's a life-altering decision for them and their family. And I personally hate that these sort of things end up making their way into the public sphere as often as they do, because there's this insinuation that Al Washington was back and forth struggling, and he's waffling and this and that. And do you blame the guy for trying to figure out what's the best move for him and his young family? I really wish that there was a change in the way that these things were reported on, to be honest, because I think that it's just terribly unfortunate that it puts him in a bad light. It puts Ohio State in an uncomfortable position. It puts Tennessee in a bad light if he turns it down. Like, there's all these things that are going on that really are about one guy and his family making a huge decision. And I don't know, maybe I'm just getting soft.
Well, and it's a lot easier for us to sit here and play armchair analyst and pretend like this is monopoly money. It's not. Somebody puts 1.5 million in front of the three of us, we're going to Kazakhstan to go cover a soccer team, whatever. That's a life-changing amount of money. Well, that's still the case for Al Washington, but it's real money, and it's a real job and a real opportunity. And we can speculate the things that are factors for him in that decision, which includes some of the negatives that we know, that Tennessee's probably going to be on probation. They're going to be running an offense that's really up-tempo, and it's not going to make defensive coordinators look good. They churn through coaches with a frightening amount of productivity. This has been going on for 15 years since I covered that program, and so has the way that team has been covered, and the passion that exists. You have to be prepared for that. Now, coaching at Ohio State certainly is pretty good prep for that, but Vol Twitter, the pressure of that program is no joke, especially when it comes to them not having a championship program for a very long time when they expect that they should have one. We talk all the time covering this team that losing one game is a disaster. Well, that's obviously going to happen with a lot of regularity for Tennessee for years to come, and has been, and that angst is built up. For me, I mean, I don't want to go back to Rocky Top. I like covering this program. I'm not trying to put myself in Al Washington's shoes, but those are the things that you have to be thinking about, and I can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, there's a lot of pressure that goes in. I don't think anything prepares you for what Tennessee and its fan base really truly throws at you. And you know that better than anybody covering the team. I think that when you look at Ohio State versus Tennessee, I just think the opportunity to be the linebackers coach at Ohio State, I'll put it bluntly, is better than the opportunity to be a defensive coordinator at Tennessee with that mess that's going on right now. Maybe if the Vols in 3 years are a little more established and Josh Heupel has them on the right track and they call Al Washington back and say, hey, do you want to be the defensive coordinator? Maybe that's a story for another time. But right now, I just think
that won't happen. You don't get a second chance.
Yeah, but
unless you're Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, I think this is too good of an opportunity to leave for Al Washington. This opportunity to stay at Ohio State and eventually take the right leap to becoming a defensive coordinator. And maybe that is in Columbus sometime. You don't know. So I think the opportunity just to stay is better than the opportunity to leave. And all of those factors are in it, including the pressure that it takes to coach defensive players at Tennessee.
My final thought on this, and all assistant coaching searches and hires and moves in the next couple of years, the Buckeyes fans are going to have to expect, is that assistant coaches either get fired or they get promoted. That's the way it works. That you move on or you move on. You are being let go because you stink, or you are letting go because you have an opportunity to improve yourself and your position in life and in the profession. Al Washington is going to leave Ohio State someday. Every coach on that roster is going, and the coaching staff is going to leave Ohio State someday for greener pastures or a different opportunity. So it's just something Buckeyes fans should obviously get used to. I just hope that we can find a way as an industry, and again, a 10,000 foot view. Like, it just bothers me that this stuff becomes a matter of conversation between fan bases as opposed to a guy and his family and a guy trying to make a life-changing decision.
Yeah, that was a lot more personal insight on a life-changing decision than we might normally have here on Rapid Reaction, presented by Byers Auto. Maybe next time we'll talk about how important it is, because a team that's losing 4 senior linebackers might have also lost a position coach as the Buckeyes try to reload in the front 7. But if they've got a run game coordinator to help with that, along with Larry Johnson, there's certainly some talent in reserve, and Al Washington can now be counted among them, as he confirmed his intentions to stay at Ohio State, turns down Tennessee on Thursday. That's Birmingham and Spencer Holbrook. I am Austin Ward. This has been Rapid Reaction, brought to you by Byers Auto. Stay with us for full coverage of the Ohio State Buckeyes all year at lettermenrow.com.